GWM, go with more. 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 GWM, go with more.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the GWM live stream. I'm Jack, and today it just so happens that I've got you guys here with me at the GWM headquarters. As you can see behind me, we have all sorts of different GWM models, some of the newest stuff on the market. But today I want to talk to you guys in detail about one of the newest models, the GWM POER 2.4T. Now, this is a really awesome model. I've been hanging out with it for the past couple of days, test driving it through obstacle courses, off-roading, all that stuff, getting an up-close look at it. But today you guys are really in luck because I'm going to be sitting down with a technical expert on this vehicle, knows a lot about the engine, transmission, all that, is going to tell you guys about the ins and outs of this thing. Also, what it means going from a 2.0T to a 2.4T. But before we get into all that, I want to really start you guys off with the story of the pickup truck as a vehicle, a type of vehicle, and how far it has come. So the first pickup truck ever was developed here, where I'm from, the United States of America, in 1925. But back then, the pickup truck was more of something for pure utility, kind of a tool that you might use in work for just getting stuff done, kind of a workhorse. But over the years, it has really evolved to being something more than just a tool. It's also become a great family car, a great thing for going long distances, for road trips, for off-roading. You know, if you've got hobbies like kayak and canoe and fishing, you can throw that stuff in the back of your truck, have a lot of fun with it. So it's really evolved a lot as just being a vehicle, a mode of transportation, or a tool, into also something that really embodies one's passions, hobbies, and lifestyle. And now fast forward some years, we come to 1986, and it brings us here where we are now in Baoding, China. So Baoding, China, 1986, that is when China developed its first domestically produced pickup truck with independent intellectual property rights. So this was a huge milestone for China's pickup truck industry. Now fast forward another 11 years, that brings us to 1997. This was the first GWM pickup truck model, the Deer. And this kind of marked the beginning of GWM's market dominance in the pickup truck space. So for 26 consecutive years, GWM pickup trucks have held the dominant market position in pickup trucks for the entire Chinese market. And you have to think, China, 1.4 billion people, one of the most populous countries in the entire world. GWM for 26 years in a row has been the market leader for pickup trucks. For every 2 pickup trucks sold in China, one of those is a GWM pickup truck. Global markets as well. So South Africa, Eastern Europe, the Middle East, Chile, Australia. These are all areas where GWM pickup trucks are particularly popular. So we also had the introduction of the POER pickup truck model. This POER model, the GWM POER, already has over 600,000 users globally. And now today, we've got the GWM POER 2.4T. In my opinion, this vehicle really just embodies kind of the evolution of the pickup truck. It combines the comfort of a sedan, the off-road capabilities of an SUV, the load-carrying capacity of a pickup truck. It combines all these things, you know, comfort, performance, really just the raw power of the engine, technology. You've got the safety features as well. They do a great job of putting this all together. If you've seen the vehicle up close, you also know that it's got a beautiful exterior design. I'm going to be showing you guys that in a bit. It makes a beautiful, bold first impression with a great front of the vehicle, very strong look, but also kind of a modern sleekness as you go through the vehicle. Beautiful car. And we're going to really get into that in just a minute, but I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. So without further ado, let's go meet our technical expert. He's going to tell us about a lot of the ins and outs of what exactly this vehicle can do and what it is going to provide us. So let's go. GWM POER 2.4T. Let's check it out. What's up, everybody? We're here with Paul Dudeg, our technical expert from GWM. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Paul.
Hello, yeah, my name is Paul, and I'm here to share some technical details with you guys about the new POER 2.4T engine and how it compares with the older version, and we're going to also look into the real-world driving performance.
All right, so welcome, Paul, to our live broadcast, and this is very exciting because we are going to have a lot of interesting content about our GWM POER 2.4T here. So yeah, let's get into it, right?
Yeah, I'll be sharing the technical details with you, and maybe we'll have some time to answer some of the questions of the audience.
All right. So that's awesome. So are you guys ready? This has been what you guys are waiting for, a look at our GWM POER 2.4T. So let's get you guys a quick tour, and if any of you guys are interested, also don't forget to leave your comments in the chat. So I kind of want to start us off by talking about the engine on this on our GWM POER 2.4T. So we have a diesel engine now, and that's kind of an upgrade from our 2.0T that we had before, right? Can you kind of take us into that?
Yeah, that's right. So this engine is the 2.4 has increased displacement. We have 20% more torque. We went up from 400 Newton meters to 480 Newton meters.
Okay.
And our total power output went to 135 kilowatts. We have this large power reserve at low RPM, so it will make your driving experience, acceleration, much smoother.
Right.
You have much more power at low speeds, and the whole engine will even provide you still 400 Newton meters of power if you are at 4,700 meters of altitude.
Wow.
Which is what the old engine did on sea level. So it has a big power reserve.
So generally speaking, with engines, as you go up in altitude, do engines often lose power as the altitude increases?
Yeah, that's a physical rule basically, because the air density goes low, so you have less oxygen in the air, and you need oxygen for the combustion.
Right.
So power always drops at altitude.
Okay, but you're saying that our GWM POER 2.4T, even at 4,700 meters, we still have how much torque?
400 Newton meters at the low RPM range.
Wow, okay. So the low RPM range, we're talking about how low? Like 1,000, 2,000?
So we tweaked the torque curve at 1,500 480 Newton meters until like 2,500 RPM.
Okay.
For a diesel engine, in normal conditions, that's the normal operating range you want to be in. So you have basically full torque in most operating conditions. And that's pretty powerful to help you with all the acceleration. It's super smooth. You have this high power and torque reserve if you have to push the pedal, if you have to incline, or you have a heavy load in your back. And
So what do you think that means, that level of torque, for our overall driving experience? What are we going to be feeling when we're driving this truck?
Well, it's going to be much smoother. It's more powerful. As I mentioned, the acceleration will give you more agility on the flat land. You can overtake quicker, and if you have mountain climbing, you need the torque. You need the low RPM torque, because when you have to start the vehicle, this is really what you need is low-end torque, and that is what we increased on this engine. Plus, we have it paired with the 9-speed AT transmission. You have a wider range of gears, and you can go in the first gear has just a higher transmission ratio, gives you extra torque. So taking off with the vehicle is really improved.
So this higher transmission ratio, what that provides is a higher torque at lower speeds? Can I kind of understand it like that?
Yes, partly yes. So at lower speeds, you have a higher torque. And because we have a 9-speed, if you're going to cruise, for example, if you drive high speeds, you have the lower gear ratio, which brings your engine speed back down. And because the engine has all this torque, you can really cruise easily with this in a fuel efficient and smooth and noise reduced way.
Okay, so how is the gear shifting when we are driving this vehicle? You know, when we're switching between gears, either at low speeds or high speeds, how is that going to feel for us?
The gear switching is really, really smooth, because you have like 9 different gears. You switch from one, the difference between the gears is lower, you can adapt it. So the engine RPM switches really smoothly back. For example, if you have to hit the pedal, accelerate, you won't even notice it. It'll go back to a lower gear, and you will have the power immediately to accelerate.
Okay, so as opposed to, because we had a 8-speed transmission on the 2.0T, is that correct? Now we've got a 9-speed transmission, so that you're saying is going to provide a much smoother movement from low gear to high gear and high gear to low gear.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the acceleration, the performance is there. It's smoother to transition because the stepping is finer, more refined.
Yeah.
And you really have the ability to be in a fuel-efficient operating conditions once you're cruising or when you're on an overland or
Right.
on a long distance drive.
Right. So this is a very powerful engine that we're looking at here. Does it create a lot of vibration, or can you really feel the engine and the noise when you're driving this vehicle?
We improved on the noise in the sense that, well, there are certain points on the technology level that we can talk about.
Okay.
But for the noise and the vibration, it has been improved on that side. There's like sound insulation, paddings and stuff. So you will have much less noise reaching the passenger cabin.
Okay. So even with a lot of power, you're not going to have that much vibration and noise in the cabin.
Yeah, well, you will not because of the sound insulation, but we had some technical updates. For example, we run now with 2,000 bar injection pressure, and these injectors, they have they are more reactive, so you can have like 8 injections per combustion stroke.
Wow.
And you can really you can shape the pressure curve.
Yeah.
So this will take away some of the noise. You can precondition the combustion chamber better with these pre and post injections. We updated the combustion bowl, the shape of the combustion bowl in the piston, and your power development will be much smoother. And also the combustion is more complete, gives us more efficiency, and also less emissions. So this is one part where you also get less noise from the combustion shape.
I see. So it seems like there's a lot of technology and new tech that is going into the development of this engine. Is there any other tech that you can kind of tell us about?
Yeah, sure. So we have some friction updates. We have DLC coatings on the piston pins and on the piston rings.
Okay.
And we could also reduce the piston ring tension. So now we have less friction on this side, gives us more efficiency on the engine overall, less fuel consumption. Then the turbocharger is variable geometry turbine and has an electric actuator, and we have electric throttle actuator. So the engine is more responsive in this sense. We updated the whole exhaust and intake path. We have less flow resistance. Again, helps us with the load exchange. Again, the engine gets more efficient, more fuel efficient. And I think we also improved the oil pump. We are running on a variable displacement oil pump.
Okay.
It provides us the oil flow and oil pressure where we need it, but not too much.
Right.
So it draws less power from the engine and improves our fuel efficiency again by 0.8% only this component.
Wow. So a lot of the tech that is going into this engine, it's really making the most of your fuel, better lubrication, less friction, a lot more efficiency, and better fuel consumption, I imagine is what we're getting out of this.
Yes. We have better fuel consumption, we have more power, lower friction means, again, better fuel consumption.
Right.
And I think it's more smooth to run because you have this torque reserve. So you get basically, in combination with this 9AT, you get a really improved powertrain, and you get better fuel efficiency, you get more power, and a smoother ride.
Right, that's awesome. But another thing that I would be concerned about is because our GWM POER 2.4T, it's also used as an off-road vehicle. So you have people taking this, up mountains, high altitudes. I'm sure a lot of people like to take it to deserts and stuff. So I'm sure this truck will often find itself in pretty extreme environments. Maybe things like extreme heat, stuff like that. So how is the cooling system on this engine?
The cooling system has been improved. So first, on the cylinder head side, there were some design changes to make it more efficient.
Yeah.
But for the overall cooling system, we have the radiator. The fan of the radiator has now 850 watts of power.
That's a lot for a cooling fan, yeah?
It is. If you compare it with a standard pickup truck, you will have 600 watts of radiator fan.
Okay.
And if you compare it with the sedan has 300 watts. So this is really, really powerful, and it will help you in hot conditions. If you're, let's say you're in the desert or wherever, you don't want your engine to boil over. So you'll have the cooling capabilities in the desert or you're high in the mountains, where we talked about the air density, so you
Right.
need the airflow.
Yeah.
And this fan will really bring you the airflow to the coolant and keep your engine in temperature. Especially if you consider this vehicle, you're going to run in the desert or some remote areas or in the mountains. You don't want it to fail, and you have to
Right.
make sure these vehicles are durable and will operate in conditions where you really need them. You know, you
Right.
can't have them fail.
So we've talked a little bit about the powertrain and stuff. I would also like to get into the suspension system of this vehicle. What are we seeing with the suspension on GWM POER 2.4T?
On the suspension side, we have also redesigned it and optimized the tuning of the suspension.
Yeah.
So on the rear side, we have newly matched 3+2 leaf springs.
Uh-huh.
So on a truck, you need the leaf springs for the load-bearing capacity.
Okay.
And on the front side, we have these also some advanced dual wishbone suspension system.
Okay.
So with the front, you will have the agility and the comfort, and on the rear, you need the load-bearing capability. But also, we have tweaked it in the sense that it gives us also more comfort. Mm-hmm. And that's with the truck. What you have to do is you have to find the right balance of comfort, but also capability and durability.
Right.
So here we also improved this. So if you're going to be on some bumpy rides with this vehicle, it will be much improved, and you'll have a much smoother experience. You'll get less shocks into the passenger cabin, and it should have a very good handling as well if you're on off-road conditions.
Yeah. So how about, like, because we talked about the suspension system, how about the shocks as well, the shock absorbers on this vehicle?
They have been improved, and if you take the ride and for example for cornering or any kind of conditions, the whole suspension system is improved, and you
Rocking of the cabin?
No rocking or rolling or it's just much dimmed down. Even though the vehicle is tall, you have a high center of gravity, so whenever you have turning, there is a tendency to be pushed to the outer side of the corner.
Okay.
But through these improvements, we can keep the vehicle more stable, and it will be much more comfortable to ride in it.
Yeah, right, because when I was in this vehicle and I was traveling around Langyashan, those mountains over there, and there were a lot of tight turns, and like we were saying, like the center of gravity on this vehicle is pretty high, the ground clearance is high as well. So I imagine when you're turning, you don't want your car to tip over or anything. So the suspension plays a role in that, yes?
Yes, very right. So we have it's improved, it's higher because we want to have the wading capability to go through, for example, a small river.
Right.
So center of gravity goes up, and through the adaptations of the suspension system, you can make it that you still have a smooth ride while turning. The vehicle will not flip over or anything.
Right. Another interesting thing about the suspension is that when we were riding in it, I noticed that we were going through an obstacle course, or even on an actual real world scenario when we were in the mountains, that you would be to where the vehicle would be propped up. But in the cabin, I still felt like it was pretty straight. And I did not feel a lot of vibrations. I did not feel a lot of bumps and jolts. It was a surprisingly steady ride.
Yeah, even in these real-world driving conditions, when you have these cross-axle conditions, or you have steep inclines with obstacles where you have to deliver the power, the vehicle really works well in combination with this powerful engine.
Yeah.
And the suspension system just gives you control over the vehicle. Right. And it's improved on that side.
All right, so there's a lot of capability in this vehicle, especially when we're in very uncertain and precarious environments. But another part I want to talk about, besides the kind of external and raw power and stability of this vehicle, is also maybe some of its more ergonomic features, its interior. Is there any smart tech that we're seeing in the design of this vehicle?
Yeah, of course. I mean, We have level 2 ADS systems, advanced driver assistance systems. So you have adaptive cruise control, and you have lane keeping assistant to prevent like front collisions.
Right.
So if you're on a long distance trip, you can use the adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assistant, which really helps the driver to be less fatigued. The vehicle will keep on track, and warn you with these prompts if you're being not right on the track. And
Right. So this ACC that we're talking about, the adaptive cruise control, how is that different from your typical cruise control?
It enacts with the typical cruise control. You have just a set speed, basically, right?
Right.
The adaptive one takes into account the traffic situation. If you have some vehicles up front, it will decelerate by itself and take into account what's the actual driving situation on the road, speed limits.
So the ACC, even if I set a speed, if the traffic in front of me or around me changes, it will adapt.
It will adapt,
per se.
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. Aside from the ACC, are there any kind of, smart tech parts of this vehicle that you personally are a big fan of, or something that you think, as the expert, is kind of pretty cutting edge or ahead of its time?
Well, I think, for a truck like this size, you also have these sensors where they get activated. You have like basically 360-degree vision. You have four high-definition cameras. When you reach a certain speed, lower speed, they get activated. They will help you to detect and avoid obstacles. And such a large vehicle is, you will see that you can't see everything around you, but you have these cameras, and they will really help you to avoid having these collisions or bumps, or like if you have a tight parking spot or parking arrangement, you have to reverse the vehicle. So these technologies we take from our SUV or luxury brand vehicles and put them into the truck, so that you also have this confidence moving this vehicle like in a tight spot on narrow roads in the city environment.
Because in my opinion, to like drive a truck or a big vehicle like this, it's a lot of fun. But me personally, because maybe I'm more accustomed to driving smaller sedans, when I get behind the wheel of something like this, it's just such a large vehicle, and there's really a lot of blind spots and a lot that you cannot see. But when I was test driving this vehicle earlier, you could see the 360-degree view, like you said. It also had a function that was the transparent chassis.
Yes. You can basically, if you are in the off-road condition, you can see if there is some problem that you might have, some rock that might be too high for you, or something that might hit your axle. So you can also have this feature to prevent any damages to the vehicle. You're right.
Right. So another thing about that, like we're talking about like the transparent chassis, and you can see underneath it. If there were like jagged rocks or something, there's also a kind of armor on the chassis as well, right? Yeah,
there's protection for these kind of driving conditions. There's this kind of protection on the bottom of the vehicle. Again, we want to have reliability. We don't have any kind of impacts on our powertrain or any other sensitive parts of the vehicle.
Yeah, because with the transparent chassis, it's really cool, especially in off-road environments, how you can see under the vehicle. So you really know what is around you, what's going on. It's like peak awareness.
That's right,
Yeah. So I also wanted to get more into the transmission of the vehicle, because we're working with a 9-speed transmission on our GWM POER 2.4T. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we upgraded the transmission. If you consider the older vehicle, 2.0T, with an 8-speed transmission. This is our own transmission, our own development. It has a 9-speed. So you have a wider range of gear ratios, which gives you, for example, in the low speed range for acceleration, it gives you more power, and also the the finer splitting between the gears, it makes you transition into the new gear much smoother. So the speed jumps the engine has to do are smaller. So what's that good for? For example, in rugged terrain, if you have an ascent or you are in a position where you need the power to accelerate to get moving, the 9-speed will definitely help because, as you said, you have a wider spread. So the first and second gears, they have a higher transmission ratio, delivering a bigger torque multiplier to the wheels.
Right. I imagine that would be very important, especially if you were on like a mountain steep path and you were stopped on a hill and you had to start up again.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right.
So this is where it really comes into play to have the 9-speed first gear acceleration paired with the powerful engine. So we also have more torque to multiply.
Yeah.
But also if you consider the general acceleration behavior, it's more powerful, it's more smooth. It's in the mountains, or if you're on the flat road, if you're in the city, you need to get going, it's going to be faster, and it will also be more smooth due to the finer gear ratios.
Right. So it's more of a gradual change between gears. So it's not as obvious as, I was in this gear and then all of a sudden I'm changing into this gear.
That's right. I mean, it's an automatic transmission, so the transmission is already on the 8-speed, is already smooth, but it is just more refined right now and smoother now, plus gives us the higher torque boost at the low RPM first gear.
I see. So we're talking about driving in different areas, right? Like we got the performance on city roads. We also have, like we were talking about, in mountainous areas. So I'm really curious, how does the GWM POER 2.4T overall perform in different terrains? How is it? What is its adaptability like in different environments?
Okay. Yeah, well, we have this torque on demand feature. So basically you have you can lock up the axle if you are, let's say you are in an environment where you have one wheel is off the road, you're really in a very rugged terrain.
Okay, like uneven surfaces.
Uneven surfaces.
Your wheel might pop up. Okay.
Yeah, so with this kind of differential, you can lock it and you can transmit the torque on demand to the different wheel. That's why TOD, torque on demand, to get out of that situation. So you will have the optimal grip in all conditions. You can use the system. You have 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. You can basically switch and it will do that. This will help you, like if you have these complex situations, like these like cross-axle different conditions, or you're climbing up on a mountainous terrain where you have
very
obstacles.
Rugged, irregular surfaces.
Yes, that's right. So the overall design of the vehicle, you have like the ascent and descent angles. They are designed so you can go on an inclined road up to like 40 degrees.
Right.
And we also tested that vehicle in that condition, climbing the hill in this 40 degrees angle and descent. And the overall system, TOD system plus the improved suspension system really gives you a smooth and safe way to take these kind of hills.
Right. I mean, when I was riding in this vehicle earlier, we went up slopes that were maybe at least 40 degrees, and it went up there pretty smoothly. And also going upstairs and stuff, the approach angle, the departure angle, it was able to get up it without, banging on the bumper or smashing the bumper.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, also with the irregular surfaces and the differential or the axle locks, we'd be like this in the vehicle, and maybe one wheel is up, but it would still be able to keep going at a steady pace.
Right, yeah. So yeah, this is the torque on demand feature that gives you this. Of course, if you consider a normal sedan, it's impossible to drive in such conditions. But these vehicles, they are really made for this, and yeah, I think this one is a big improvement on the previous model.
Right. So I'd also like to touch on the safety of this vehicle, because GWM POER 2.4T, I think at the end of the day, what most users, drivers, owners are most concerned about is going to be the overall safety of this vehicle and the protection that it provides the user.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, like in our company, Great Wall Motors, safety is the ultimate luxury we can provide, because if you buy a vehicle, you're taking your family with you. You want your family to be safe on the vehicle, right? So
Right.
these are these features that we really need to have, and we have active and passive safety systems. In regard to active safety systems, you have these, we spoke about briefly, you have these 4 cameras in all directions.
Yeah.
So you can see if you're in a complex environment where you're driving, up front, behind,
Right.
and
It's got the blind spot
Yeah.
monitoring as well. It has like sensors if there's people or things around your vehicle.
yeah, exactly. So before we also mentioned the adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assistant. These are also safety features that help the driver to avoid accidents, but also the 4 cameras. You have like 360-degree vision.
Right.
You can see if you're reversing, or if you're in close corners, or you have to park the vehicle somewhere.
Yeah.
You will avoid accidents. You'll avoid hitting something that you wouldn't see otherwise behind you.
Right.
And especially if you have kids, for example, this will really help you to stay safe all the time.
Especially in a big vehicle like this, because it's very high up, it's very large. You need awareness
Exactly.
of like your periphery.
Yeah, these are these features that we took from our SUVs and other like kind of luxury vehicles from our company, put it into the truck, and make it really also a luxurious driving experience. And for passive safety, we work together with internationally renowned manufacturers and suppliers for our airbag system. So you have 6 airbags, which will offer you good protection in case of a collision. And that's really the point, is the safety, and to make sure that we are all safe.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I mean, we can talk about power, performance, and comfort, but if you don't have the safety, you know, what do you have overall? That's going to be the most important thing, you know, in people's mind at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. So I think while we're here, we should walk over to the vehicle. We can give everyone kind of a close-up shot of our truck that we got here, our GWM POER 2.4T, and we can talk a little more about it over there. So
All right.
let's head over. Ooh, all right, there we go.
Yeah.
So you were talking about some of the cool features within this vehicle, like the L2 Plus, right?
Right. Yeah, so firstly, you have 2 quite large displays, which will help you to display the information that you get from our sensors. So you have this lane assist that you stay in the lane.
Right, like I was talking to someone who actually owns this vehicle, and we were test driving it, and she was telling me that like the lane keep assist, like if she ever veers out of the lane, it will kind of correct it back automatically.
Yeah, you'll be corrected. Yeah. They are like the cameras and the sensors are in the mirrors, so they will be able to measure the distance and to determine the distance of other vehicles.
Oh, so the sensors are in these mirrors right here.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so that's how it works.
Yeah. So you basically have a good boundary of your vehicle. It will warn you in advance if you're out of line of your lane, or if you're close, if you want to overtake and there's other vehicles around you, and you're not paying attention as much.
Yeah.
And you will have these prompts. They come like from the noises.
Yeah, it's the lane departure warning, right?
Right. And other than that, you have the screens as well. For example, if you go into parking, or whenever you drive basically at a lower speed, they get activated at below 30 kilometers per hour, I think.
Right.
And if you're driving in close corners, the cameras will detect it. They will project the image on the screen.
Yeah.
You will see if there's like if you have to pass through a narrow passage.
Right.
You can like just perfectly navigate it, and you'll have these projections of where your tires are pointing.
Oh, it shows you like the direction, like where you're going to go, like your
Right.
trajectory.
Right. So, for example, if you reverse the same, if you want to park backwards,
Yeah.
you change the steering wheel angle, and these they will show you a trajectory of where you're going. So it's very, very easy to park this vehicle, even if, like, let's say you're a smaller, like a female, a woman, you don't have that much visibility.
Yeah.
But you simply look it up on the screen. You can see it. It measures the distance. It gives you audible warnings if you're coming too close.
Yeah.
And yeah,
that the 360-degree view is really cool, especially, like, you know, you talked about in parking lots, it can be useful because there's a lot of other vehicles, maybe people around you, blind spot monitoring. Another area I thought it was cool is when I was riding in this vehicle through like mountainous environments or off-road environments, because there's also a lot of unpredictability in that kind of terrain. There's stones and stuff around you, so it's really cool to have that awareness, especially in such a big vehicle when there's so many blind spots. You know, and another aspect that I thought was cool was the transparent chassis.
Yeah, that is really, really helpful in that condition, because you can see around you, but you can't see below you. But unless you can, and then you can, and you can see if the rocks that are coming, are they actually too big for you to stomach with this vehicle, and it really can gives you the complete overview of your situation, and that really helps you not to get stuck in some not fortunate situation. And yeah, this is really, really helpful.
I thought that transparent chassis was cool, and we like crossed through rivers and stuff, because you could see in the river like the rock bed, you know, and all the stones down there. And when we were, you know, traversing through those different types of terrains, another aspect that I thought was cool is it had 6 different driving modes.
Yeah, that is true. So
I think it's like this part right here. Like, see, this one you can change between. It had mud. You see, you got sand. You've got snow as well. The high gear 4-wheel drive, low gear 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive as well. So I imagine those can really get me through a lot of different kinds of situations.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the 2-wheel drive is basically the standard for the road, because 4-wheel drive means you have to drive 4 wheels, which adds the friction, and you will have higher fuel consumption in these, especially, for example, if you have this 4-wheel low gear, which is really focused on like getting out of a sticky situation. You don't care about the fuel consumption. But if you're going to drive on the highway or in the urban environment, 2-wheel drive is really enough. That's all what you need. And the others, for snow or muddy terrain, where you have this like adverse like road conditions, slippery roads, bad traction, or you're just going to throwing lumps instead of moving forward, these driving modes will help you to get out of these situations. And yeah, I mean, the 4-wheel drive as well. If you have snow, for example, if the roads are slippery, front-wheel drive, you will not take the corner. Rear-wheel drive, your back will slide out if you hit the pedals wrong. But with 4-wheel drive, you can really like also even like still get up a mountain if it's like below 0 and it had like you have a little bit of frost or the roads have really gone like slippery. The 4-wheel drive will do that very, very well.
So when I was riding this vehicle, aside from like being in the mountains, we were also by like a river and on the riverbank, and that was an area, especially this time of year, it's pretty cold. You encounter multiple different types of terrain. So on the riverbank, it would be more sandy. It'd be loose soil like you were talking about. There'd be slippage, loss of grip and traction. Closer to the water, it would get like muddy. But then in also some places, it would be like this cross between snow and ice. So the water would be freezing, but it would be freezing in a strange way until it was almost like snow. So it was really an area where we got to see all the different kinds of driving modes
and this,
in action.
You know, you can lock up the differential, of course, but also this like the torque on demand feature, where you can like, especially if you have different road conditions, and sometimes different wheels are affected by different things, right? Like, for example,
Right.
if you have like one part of your vehicle is on sand, the other one is on rock, the grip on each wheel will be different. But with this feature, you can basically direct the torque where you need it and get out of that situation. So this is a really smart feature for these conditions where you really need to get out of that.
Yeah, and that was very apparent to me as well when I was riding in this vehicle. I mean, especially like when you're next to the water, even the consistency of the mud will be different. Like it's all mud, but the mud is different. Like on this side, it's very wet and it's very loose. It's very soft, and then on this side, it's a little
sticky.
Yeah, it's a little stickier. It's a little more dense, and it's even maybe more elevated as well.
Yeah.
So the surface itself is not a regular surface.
Yeah, and with this vehicle you can really manage it because you have the suspension system, you have the ground clearance, and you have the torque distribution to the wheel. So if you're gonna get out of the situation, this vehicle is the one that will do it.
Yeah.
And see, it's really comfortable to sit in this, even as a daily driver. You know, you don't feel like you're in a construction vehicle. That's just another of these features. You see, like the engine is running, but it's nice. You're gonna you have a conversation. There's not much vibrations that you're feeling, even in idle. You know, the idle condition is sometimes the speed is a little. You have an idle controller. It's like a pendulum around a certain target. So it's a condition where you can actually feel some shake if you've been into an older truck sometimes, but this is really smooth and very comfortable, even as a daily driver.
Yeah, I think the GWM POER 2.4T did a really good job of striking a balance between both comfort and capability.
Yeah, right. I think that's exactly right. And you're not always in the terrain. Sometimes you are in the city or whatever outer urban areas. You also want to have a comfortable ride. So I think the balance is really met very well.
Right.
And I think it was a really good job on this vehicle.
Right. Even, you know, when you get into rough terrain or off-road conditions like we were talking about, and the going gets very rough. The ground itself is very rough, very irregular, rugged, but your ride is not so much. I mean, the suspension is very powerful. You've got great shock absorption. So even though you're going through very bumpy, very rugged terrain, your experience, in my opinion, is really quite smooth.
Yeah, it's quite comfortable. If you consider such a terrain as comfortable, I think this vehicle really does a good job with the suspensions to handle it. And it's also, you know, it's spacious. If you have like colleagues or family or whatever,
right?
It's a spacious ride, and I think it's well balanced and well designed.
Yeah, I totally agree. In terms of comfort, I think it does a really good job. But I know you're really the expert in terms of the engine, transmission, all that stuff. So I kind of want to take you over real quick to the hood. We'll pop it real quick, and we can see what we're working with over there.
Let's do that.
All right, pop that. All right, let's see what we've got under the hood here. There it is.
There it is, yeah.
So what exactly are we looking at here?
Well, we talked about the battery, the improved battery, the bigger capacity battery, which is this boy.
Okay.
We spoke about the radiator, the cooling capacity.
Yeah.
Coolant comes from here.
Okay.
Here's our radiator fan that has the higher power, which delivers us the cooling that we need.
850 watts, right?
850 watts.
Wow.
On this side, you have the turbocharger, this variable turbine geometry system, which is kind of common for diesel. It's electrically actuated, so it reacts quickly.
Yeah.
So we can get, we have the fast response when we have the throttle actuation. So on this side, this engine configuration is longitudinal. Means our transmission is behind the engine and in between the passenger and driver seat.
Okay.
And then you have one one shaft going to the rear differential, and we have also a front differential, splits to the front wheels. And yeah, these are some of the features. You can see the 2.4.
Right, so this GWM POER 2.4T, what that means is a 2.4 liter turbocharged diesel engine.
That's right.
So what are we looking at in terms of power with this thing?
In terms of power, it's compared to the older version, we have a 2.0 liter. We increased by 20% the displacement. Displacement normally translates into more torque.
Okay.
So we also have this 20% increase in torque from 400 to 480 Newton meters. And that's basically what you want. You want to have the torque.
Right.
And on the turbocharger side, when I said earlier we tweaked the curve, it means like we reached the top, the peak torque high at 1,500 RPM already earlier.
Okay.
But on the power side, we have only like 12.5% more power. So we have the power where we need it, which means at low speed, at high torque.
Mm-hmm.
There we have a larger surplus when compared to nominal power. But that is what we actually need, because the daily driver drives in the speed range from like 1,500 to 2,500.
Yeah.
That's the area that serves you. Mm-hmm. While the nominal torque, you only need it if you go nominal torque. I mean the nominal speed or nominal power.
Yeah.
Is what you need for, like, if you want to really accelerate to a high vehicle speed, like 150, 160 kilometers per hour.
Oh, that's fast.
That's also for this kind of vehicle. That's not the use case normally, right? To race on somewhere. So there you need the high speeds, but that's rare. Mm-hmm. Most of the time we need the low speed and the punch, and that comes with this torque curve and high torque at low RPM.
So at lower speeds, even if we're like at 1,500 RPM, we're already hitting that maximum 480 torque, 480 Newton meters of torque.
Right, exactly.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So we were also talking about the 9-speed transmission, automatic transmission, right?
Yeah.
So what is that going to provide us in terms of driving experience?
It's super smooth, You have these nine gears. Again, it gives you the first gear, you can gear it more aggressively, meaning a higher transmission ratio. So the torque of the engine gets multiplied even more, which gives you this acceleration capability if you have like a high load in the back, or you're going up the hill with the transmission together. You really bring the power to the wheels where you need it, right, at the time when you need it. And once you're driving, the gears, they will just switch between each other like fluently, and you'll have a really smooth ride with this transmission. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, and we spoke about other features, like the exhaust system is optimized for the flow, the back pressure. Yeah. So you have a lower load exchange work. The same as the intake system. We also have the air intake is higher. Like if you consider this wading, when you go through water, which you always want to avoid is water into the engine.
Yes, of course.
It's not compressible, and you're going to cause some problems. Right. There are special adaptations that you can have. For example, a snorkel that brings the air intake even higher. For example, if you go to the desert, you'll have a lot of dust. You don't want that dust. So you can adapt these vehicles for these conditions. But so
I could attach a snorkel to this vehicle?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. The other day when I was riding in this vehicle, we took it through rivers and streams, and I think we got to depths of about 50 centimeters, 60 centimeters deep in water, and the engine was completely fine. Yeah,
it can do up to 70, so 700 millimeters.
Wow.
Engineers work with the millimeters, but yeah, it can do it. The air intake was specifically raised to have this additional margin, and it's really well organized. It's suited there and fitted, and it's a powerful engine for this vehicle. Yeah, really has the power that you need.
Definitely very powerful, very versatile, able to get you to all sorts of places
Yeah,
It's really like the world is your oyster when you're driving this thing.
that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
With this thing, you can basically go everywhere.
Yeah, right. All right, so Paul, before you go, I've got a couple questions here for you from the viewers that they are very interested in. So to start off, I kind of wanted to ask you, because when we're talking about pickup trucks, they're usually not the most efficient in terms of fuel consumption. But I want to ask you, how does the GWM POER 2.4T perform in this aspect?
Yeah, right. Well, this one, you know, is a diesel engine, so diesel is more efficient.
Yeah.
And we have improved the fuel efficiency over the previous version, and you have the improved combustion features we talked about, and overall you have the transmission. It helps you to get into the sweet spot. You have this high torque, so you can really go into low RPM, high torque. It's smooth, it's you have less noise emissions from these conditions. It's really nice to drive, but also fuel efficient because of the improved combustion, and this you can really, like we call it, down speeding. You can reduce the engine speed. It runs at lower speed, lower frictions, and just more efficient. So this is quite an efficient engine for a truck for sure. And also, you know, you have a large fuel tank, so you won't really feel it.
Okay, so how large are we talking?
I think it's like 78 liters.
Wow,
It's,
that is very big.
It's big. Yeah.
Right.
So until you refuel again, you have already forgotten the bill of the first one.
That's good news. So I also want to go into kind of the overall driving experience of it, because I'm sure our drivers, they might be, you know, in all sorts of different environments, off-road, urban, all that. How would you say how it performs overall in terms of driving experience?
Overall, the driving experience, I think, is really, really good. I mean, if you sit inside, you have this, firstly, it's very comfortable. The inside is more like a mid to high-end SUV kind of feeling, not like a workhorse truck.
Yeah.
But so it has the comfort. You have the noise reduction of all the features we have done with the engine, with the insulation pads. So it's very, very smooth for driving. If you're in city driving conditions, with the transmission and the engine, you can go down to the low speeds, less noise. That's really comfortable. You have the high gear ratios in the beginning, so you have the power for acceleration. You have the power for acceleration also in the terrain. Like if you have to ascend, if you have a load in the back of the vehicle, if it's heavy loaded, the vehicle will just give you enough power to smoothly start and go up the mountains. And for long haul, as I said, you know, you have again the transmission on the 9-speed. You will get into the high speeds, which brings your engine speed down, and you will be cruising in the basically optimal range of the engine and gives you low fuel consumption. That's also comfortable to know. You know, if you go long distances, you don't need to really worry about, oh, my truck, he drinks all the fuel. It's gonna be okay. And it's really good we spoke about it, the performance on mountain climbing, or all of this ascent angle and so on. So in each condition, where you need the power, where you need to accelerate, where you need to get moving, the engine will deliver with that transmission, with that diesel high torque engine. So I think it will be very, very satisfactory for the customers that buy that vehicle. It's really comfortable and powerful and durable.
Right. It sounds like it's well suited for many different situations. It's a very versatile, multi-purpose vehicle. But I'm curious to know, are there any particular scenarios or activities that you would think it is particularly suited for?
Yeah. So besides, let's say we have the private customer, that you have the comfort and everything, and you have this terrain capabilities, or some people that are more adventurous that can take it on whatever kind of hike in whatever kind of regions they want to do. But if you consider the load-bearing capability of this engine, you can really think about like use cases for commercial purpose, like for example in the industry of farming or construction. It has this the rear part where you can load up. It can carry 3.5, you have like towing capability of 3.5 tons. You can load up the rear of the vehicle with quite heavy and large things.
Right, like construction tools,
Yes,
stuff like that,
construction.
cement even.
Even that, or if you are working in farming, you have a lot of equipment to move, and you're not on paved roads, so this will work very, very well in this condition for farmers or for construction workers, so some handyman, for example. And the other purpose, like if you are for rescue missions or so, this vehicle can really reach remote places where you have like bad road conditions, where it's maybe, as we spoke about, it's cold, it's steep, it's any kind of conditions you have to go through water, if there was a flooding, stuff like that. So it has also these abilities. So for fire trucks, any kind of emergency vehicles, this is very capable because it can reach these areas and deliver the help that is needed then.
Right, kind of able to get into more perilous environments, more precarious areas. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, Paul. Paul has been here as our technical expert to fill us in on a lot of the technical details of this vehicle. And yeah, thank you very much for your time, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And you have a good time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Paul. So going on while I've still got you guys here, I also want to get a little more into the safety and the comfort of this vehicle. Paul was filling us in. All right. Big thanks to Paul right there for giving us the rundown on a lot of technicals of this vehicle. But while I've still got you guys here, I also want to get into the comfort and the safety of our vehicle, the GWM POER 2.4T. So starting off with safety, which is a big concern amongst a lot of our users. Understandably, that is the #1 priority in all of our vehicles. Now, for those of you who are into cars, into vehicles, you might know that safety systems are divided into both active and passive safety systems. So I want to start off with the active portion of the safety systems here. So we have the ESP, which is the Electronic Stability Program. And now what that means is that with the ESP, this vehicle, the GWM POER 2.4T, it is capable of real-time monitoring of the vehicle's conditions, the environmental conditions around it, and it is able to adjust both the vehicle's engine's power and also the brake pressure. So you're going to have an adjustment of both the engine power and brake pressure. That's going to help you adapt to a lot of different situations. So to kind of put it in perspective, I want you guys to imagine that you're driving this truck maybe on a mountain road, maybe it's raining, maybe it's kind of muddy. It's a very slippery and somewhat dangerous, you might even say, kind of environment. And now you come up on a pretty quick, pretty tight turn. This is a situation where you could easily, if you weren't careful, you could have slippage, your vehicle could tilt, there could be skidding, any of that. That would be very dangerous in a mountain environment because that's very precarious. You could tumble, you could fall. So that is where our ESP can intervene. It can detect the environment you're in. It can detect in real time the conditions of this vehicle, and it will make an adjustment to both the engine power output and the braking pressure to improve that stability, prevent skidding, prevent slipping, prevent tilting or flipping of the vehicle. And that's not only going to improve your driving experience, that more importantly is going to be really big in terms of safety because you don't want to be skidding, especially on steep mountain roads. So that is the ESP system that we were looking at right there. There are other parts of this vehicle in the active safety system that are very interesting, like the automatic fuel cutoff. So why would you want to cut off your fuel? Well, this would be triggered in the event of a collision. So if your truck, your GWM POER 2.4T, if it happened to be in a collision or an accident, you have this automatic emergency fuel cutoff system. I'm sure you've seen in movies where there is some kind of scene where there is a big accident, a pileup, a collision, a vehicle crashes, and the crash itself has a lot of impact. But the more dangerous part of it is that the fuel starts leaking, and you see the fuel leaking on the ground, the oil, the gas, and then all of a sudden you see there's a spark or there's some kind of fire, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh no, this whole thing is going to explode. It's going to catch on fire. We've seen that in movies. The automatic emergency fuel cutoff system is designed to prevent that. So as soon as your vehicle is in a collision, as soon as there is a large impact or an accident, it will automatically cut off the fuel supply. That way, once the vehicle crashes, you're not going to be leaking fuel, oil, gasoline, diesel, stuff like that. Because if you were to, there would be a very high chance of catching fire, explosions, stuff like that. It would really amplify the amount of danger that we are looking at. And aside from the emergency fuel cutoff, you also have an automatic unlocking system. So why do you want an automatic unlocking system? This is also something that is triggered in the event of a collision or an accident. Your doors here will automatically be unlocked. And you might be curious as why would you want that? Well, you can imagine, and this is also something that we've seen in movies, hopefully not in real life, is that if you were to drive your vehicle, crash on the bridge and plunge into the water, that collision would trigger an unlocking of the doors. Because if your vehicle is in the water, it's sinking, that is definitely a situation where you are going to want to be exiting this vehicle as soon as possible, whether it be the driver or other passengers. And a situation like that, after a collision or an accident, you may need to exit the vehicle very quickly. In this kind of situation, your doors are going to automatically unlock. That is the automatic unlocking system. So that is going to allow you to exit the vehicle as soon as possible. So like I'm saying, there's definitely some situations where if there's a collision or an accident, you're going to want to exit this vehicle as soon as possible. That is what the unlocking feature is going to do for you. Your doors will unlock automatically because in those situations, you might not have time to think about where's the lock, I got to unlock it, then I got to open the door. It's going to reduce that step for you, make it possible for you to exit the vehicle as soon as possible and return to safety. So that is the automatic emergency fuel cutoff, also the automatic unlocking system. Besides that, up here, you also have several airbags. You have 6 airbags installed in this vehicle. That's also going to be part of the first line of defense for this vehicle in the event of a collision. You're going to want those airbags, 6 airbags in there. Another cool part about this vehicle is that it is equipped, this is also part of the active safety system. It's equipped with multiple sensors, multiple cameras. So when I'm in this vehicle, I have a 360-degree view of my surroundings at all times. So this could be important for something, even just like day-to-day activities. You're in a parking lot, you're parking, or you're at home, you're pulling out of your driveway. You can see everything that is in front of you, on your sides, behind you. You also have the transparent chassis. You can even see what is under your vehicle. And that is a really big deal because especially in a large vehicle like this, there is a lot of obstruction when it comes to your view. There's going to be blind spots. You're sitting pretty high up. It's a large vehicle. You need that awareness that the sensors and the cameras provide for you so you can see around your vehicle. And I've actually seen this in my own life. There was a cat at the place where I worked, and in the winter, cats try and stay warm. They get under vehicles that are maybe still warm from being started up, the engine going and all that, and they'll sleep under the vehicle, under the tire, behind the tire. If someone doesn't know, if someone doesn't have those cameras, those sensors, they go to back up the vehicle and they roll right over the cat. I saw this happen where I worked. They rolled right over the cat. It messed the cat up. It was just terrible news. You don't want that to happen to you. So that 360-degree camera view, those sensors, blind spot monitoring, that transparent chassis, that's going to be important in those situations. It's also really good if you're going off-roading. GWM POER 2.4T, great off-road capabilities. Those cameras and sensors are also going to give you really good awareness of what is going around and what is going on in your surroundings. So, because you could be in all sorts of pretty complex terrain, a lot of really irregular environments, that's also going to be really big. So that kind of wraps up our active safety system. Aside from that, you also have the passive safety system. In the passive safety system, we're looking at the frame of this vehicle. So our GWM POER 2.4T uses a trapezoidal frame, which is just the word for a trapezoid-shaped frame. And now the benefit of this frame is it is much better suited to take on impacts and provide protection in that sense. So this thing is made out of 99% high strength steel. So that is really going to be your first line of defense in the event of an impact, in the event of a collision, going to protect both the driver and the passenger. That 99% high strength steel trapezoidal frame is going to be something that is integral in protecting the integrity and the shape of the frame of your vehicle. So like if you were in a collision, there could be a very real possibility of the frame of the vehicle warping. If that were the case, you could be in a situation where the door gets stuck and it cannot be opened. So you don't want the integrity of the frame to be compromised. You want that frame to be as solid as possible. So the trapezoidal 99% high strength steel frame is going to provide you that first line of defense that is going to be crucial and preserving the overall integrity and safety of the vehicle. So that's a little bit about the active and passive safety systems of our vehicle here, the GWM POER 2.4T. Now this vehicle, the GWM POER 2.4T, is the first, or I should say the GWM POER is the first Chinese brand to be awarded 5 stars under the new ANCAP regulations or ANCAP standards in Australia. So that is a big deal. And it really just speaks to the quality of the safety features, really the overall safety rating of this vehicle, and kind of when you purchase a vehicle like this, the GWM POER, kind of the peace of mind that you can have when you're driving a vehicle like this. 5-star rating, the first Chinese pickup brand to be awarded the 5-star rating under the new standards of ANCAP in Australia. So that is a big deal and really speaks to the integrity of this vehicle. So enough about safety. I also want to show you guys some of the cool features in terms of comfort in this vehicle, because we're probably going to be using this thing a lot if we buy it. So I want to hop in the front seat up here, the driver's seat, and I'll show you guys what we are looking at in terms of comfort. So come on over here with me, and we're going to take a look at this vehicle. Let's start it up, get the full experience. So a cool thing about this vehicle, just to start off, you see I am in the driver's seat right here. This driver's seat has a 6-direction adjustment system. So they're powered seats, electronically powered. I can move back, I can move forward, I can move up, I can move down, I can tilt back, I can tilt forward. So you can really adjust it any way you like to ensure your comfort, especially if you're going long distances. You want this seat to be adjusted in a way that suits you. You don't want to be, your back getting sore or, your neck getting sore driving long distances. So very good adjustability, personalization when it comes to the seats here. Also, the material that these things are crafted out of, the steering wheel as well. These are very high quality materials, high quality leather. So you can see it's very, I guess you can't see it, but I can tell you it is very nice, very soft to the touch. This is also leather that is very durable on the steering wheel here, on the seat as well. So, especially if you're off-roading, there could be some scratching, there could be some scraping up against your interior. Who knows what you're doing? You're having fun. Luckily though, very durable leather. It's also very breathable. So this is leather that is high quality leather that's really going to take your interior a long way. Very comfortable as well. And in terms of comfort, we've also got a brilliant climate control system. So I can pop this baby open right here. You see, you can kind of adjust your temperature, stuff like that. Put it up, put it down. Also, this climate control utilizes an intelligent climate control system. So this vehicle is also capable of monitoring your, oops, that's not the one. It's also capable of monitoring both the exterior and internal conditions of the vehicle. So it is able to adjust the climate control completely based on what is going on both outside and inside the vehicle climate-wise. And now, along with that, you don't only have the climate control, you also have seat warmers. So if it's a cold morning, I can click my seat warmer right here. I can go to level 1, level 2, level 3. Just depends on how warm you want that seat. So you can really imagine this, you know, especially where I am right now. I'm in Baoding in China. This is North China. In December, it is cold. Let me tell you, I get up here in the morning, it is chilly. And in a situation like this, or maybe you live in Canada, that's even more extreme. You hop in your vehicle. The first thing you want when you're getting up early in the morning is you want this thing nice, warm, and toasty. So I click on the seat warmer like that. I just turn it on. My seat's already warming up. I'm feeling good. I got the AC going as well. It's warming me up. And so that climate control with that seat warmer together, it's going to make my experience just all the more comfortable. If it's hot out, like I'm sure, I'm from Florida originally, so there it doesn't really get cold, but let me tell you, it stays hot. There's also a seat ventilation system, so it will make the seat feel nice and cool as well, even on a hot day. If you've ever gotten in the vehicle on a really bright sunny day, the sun's been shining through, the leather is hot as heck, you turn on that seat ventilator, it'll cool it down nice and quick for you. And when I was talking about the climate control as well, the ventilation system that it uses, it also has a filter that filters the air, cleans it up, makes it nice, good, healthy to breathe, and all that. So aside from the materials, the seats, the climate control, in the back and in the front, you also have a lot of space. So you got plenty of space, you got adjustable seats. It's not just the driver that's going to be comfortable, the people in the back are going to be feeling comfortable as well. What I like about this vehicle is it also has a lot of smart storage space. So there are a lot of compartments, a lot of space where you can store really all your knickknacks, all your stuff that you like bringing along for the journey. And that way your vehicle, it's not going to get crowded, got a lot of space, nice and spacious. It's not going to get clustered. I mean, you know, I know like in my apartment where I stay, I, you know, throw everything everywhere. It's all a mess. It's not big to begin with. But luckily, when you're in a vehicle like this, that's not going to happen. You're going to be able to keep your vehicle nice and neat, a lot of space, and it's going to really provide that comfort for you as well. Right, so very spacious, a lot of space both in the front and back. It's going to be really comfortable for both the driver and the passengers. Also, all that storage space, it's going to keep it from getting cluttered. That is going to be a big deal, especially if you are using this vehicle long term. And now, another thing about this vehicle is it also has great noise insulation, or noise cancellation, I should say. So sometimes when you're driving the vehicle, especially if you're out in nature, you're enjoying yourself, maybe you open the sunroof, maybe you roll the windows down, you're taking in all the sights, the sounds of nature, that's great. But maybe sometimes you don't want that. Maybe you're in the city, the hustle and bustle, it's noisy, there's people honking, all that. You just want to have a nice peaceful environment. Maybe you just want to be listening to your own music. You can roll these windows up, and this window glass is fitted with noise cancellation technologies. So that's going to provide you with a very peaceful, very quiet internal environment. On here, you also have this noise insulation on the door, so that's also going to prevent a lot of those sound waves from intruding on your space. So you got that door closed, you got that window up. It's really going to create a very peaceful environment for you. Even if, you know, the engine's rumbling, you really don't hear a lot of that either, not a lot of vibration. So that's also going to make for a very comfortable experience. Right, so a very comfortable vehicle overall. I mean, you've got high quality leather, you've got adjustable seats, you've got climate control, you've got the seat warmers, also the seat ventilators if you want it nice and cool. You've got a lot of space, you've got storage capacity, you got the noise cancellation as well. So in terms of comfort, this thing, GWM the POER 2.4T does a great job. If you guys are interested, make sure you follow us. Make sure you send us a like. Send us any messages if you want to know more about it. Because, you know, like I'm talking about, not only comfort, safety as well. This vehicle, the GWM POER 2.4T, really does a great job. I've been hanging out with this thing for the past couple of days, taking on test drives, obstacle courses, going off-road. We are here today talking with the expert. And it's really blown me away in terms of performance, in terms of comfort, in terms of safety, design, also a beautiful looking vehicle. It really combines a lot of great stuff in one package. Cutting edge technology as well. So to me, this vehicle, It's got the power, it's got the performance, it's got the safety. It can really meet the demands of a lot of different consumers. So not just a great vehicle for your day-to-day, daily life. If you love off-roading, you love going on outdoor excursions and adventures, this is also a great vehicle. So if you guys have enjoyed what we've been looking at today, if you've got anything you're interested in, stuff you would like to know more about, make sure you follow us at GWM. Hit us up on our Facebook page, send us a like, send us a message, leave us a comment. If you guys have anything you want to know about, get in contact with us. We will fill you in as soon as possible. We will get in contact with you and we can let you know, we can fill you in on anything that you are curious about. So today we've been looking at the GWM POER 2.4T. Until next time, that pretty much wraps it up for today. But until next time, I'm sure I'll see you guys in my next live stream. And until then, make sure you guys keep doing your thing, driving your car, having a good time, off-roading, adventuring. Keep it real, and I'll see you guys next time.